Good to see you again, Susan. I think we received all of your and Scott's financial records, so now it's time to talk support. Scott is asking for rehabilitative alimony. Do you understand what that is?
I think so. It's kind of a temporary alimony, right?
Yes. Basically, there's 3 types of alimony: permanent alimony, rehabilitative alimony, and lump sum alimony. Scott's basically saying that because he hasn't worked in 15 years, except for a few part-time jobs, it's going to take him a while to get back into the workforce. He has an architecture degree, so he has to get recertified and take some classes in order to bring his skills back up to par. Having support for the next 5 years will help him to become self-sufficient again.
I have such mixed feelings about this whole thing. I remember when we first got married and we were both getting started in our careers. My job was going really well, and it was a huge decision for Scott and I to start a family. I guess that's when he started cutting back on his work. We couldn't turn down the salary I was making at the time. When we decided to have a second child, I guess we both knew that Scott would be the one staying home with the kids, at least for a while. And frankly, it's worked out great. I've been able to travel for work, go back to school for an MBA, and the kids have had a full-time parent at home. But the girls are teenagers now. Scott has worked a few contract jobs, but not nearly enough to support himself. I make about 5 times the money that he does now. Plus, I get medical and retirement benefits. You said that the only way I could avoid paying alimony to him is if he's been unfaithful?
Yes.
But unless he's done a really good job of hiding it, I don't think that's the case. I want to be fair to him. It's just so complicated.
Well, it used to be that only women received support, but in the 70s that began to change as more and more women took careers and as no-fault divorce came into being. Before that, there had to be some kind of fault before a court would grant a divorce, but afterwards, the courts really started seeing marriages as a business partnership. Partners deserve a clean break, so instead of awarding alimony, property division became the preferred means to address the economic rights and needs of all the parties. Now, in cases where the party can't reach an agreement, a court will take into consideration many factors before deciding whether a spouse receives support.
I read about that in the brochure you gave me at our initial interview. So a lot would depend upon Scott's financial need, his earning potential, what our standard of living had been, and what his contribution to the marriage is, right?
Correct, but I hope we can come to an agreement on this. I much rather my clients make decisions about their lives than let that be up to a judge. I think we have 2 alternatives here, Susan. First, we could offer Scott temporary or rehabilitative alimony, but not lump sum alimony. With that, you would pay on a monthly basis. As an alternative, we could offer him lump sum alimony. With that, you would either write a big check all at once, or you can make it in installments. Now, if we decide to do that, we decide upon an amount, and Scott would not be able to modify that amount, even if you were to start earning extra income.
What do you recommend?
Well, there's good news and bad news about both types of alimony. If you pay him lump sum, he can't modify the amount, even if you were to start earning extra income, but he gets all the money at once, and he could remarry without penalty. If you pay him temporary alimony over a 3-year period, well, the alimony would stop if he were to remarry, but he might be able to modify it. But you could also modify it, say, if you were to lose your job.
Well, how does that work tax-wise?
Well, Scott would have to pay taxes on the amount of support he receives, but you could file it against your income, so it helps a little.
You know, when my parents divorced, my mom received alimony until she died. She was a stay-at-home mom, never had a career, and never remarried, even though she was only 40 when they split. Now you hardly ever hear about people receiving permanent alimony.
That's right. Permanent alimony is very rare. The courts are much more likely to award the type of rehabilitative support we've been talking about. Now, another interesting thing about alimony, it's not dischargeable in bankruptcy. Now, not that you're planning on filing bankruptcy, but I have clients who think that they can avoid paying support if they file for bankruptcy, and that's just not the case.
Okay, I'm going to take all this information home and think about it. I'll call you in the next day or so and we'll make a decision.
You might want to consult your financial planner too, Susan, just to make sure you're clear on the long-term effects of temporary alimony or a lump sum payment. I'll be waiting to hear from you.